forge out a bit of EN19T I've got. Just draw it out and make another cutting, whatever you call it, edge? Blade? It's a blade, it's a shear. Well, that shear thing's got like two metal kind of edges in the pincer, and I broke the top one because I'm a clumsy asshole. So I'm going to try and forge another one of those, just roughly, because I need one. I did it out of some 8620, but I'm really struggling to get that little piece of material to harden to the right hardness, so I'm just going for something a bit more easy. So yeah, I'll bash that into shape. I'm just going to put some safety gear on.
going to sit out with Ross whilst he finished his food.
Food and sit out with us.
Yeah, that's kind of it.
Scale. Think of it as character building.
Back in?
Please. Leave it in the edge. It's too late now. The moment it touches you, it's too late.
I know. The moment it touches it, it's already gone cold on my skin. Like, it just is. Still itchy. Is that a ball bearing?
Hmm? Well, better. It's bouncing. Rebound test. Did you just check what's something?
I could do. Is it going to be a couple of minutes whilst it reheats?
I had a bit of water on it. I think it sprayed the. Yeah, it sprayed scale everywhere.
I gave him the bottom half of a rat.
Hey?
I gave him the bottom half of a rat.
So,
Yeah. And when I've come back,
go.
no.
It's hollow.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, there's just a rat's skin and tail. And when I pointed it at him, he was like, fine. And went and picked it up and just moved away with it and like dropped it by one of the footballs, like it's moved. feel it. Yeah.
Going. Go on. Just the way it's been wedged. You shouldn't really wedge structure tools. You don't need to wedge them. You just let them fall off and then hit them back on, because it's gonna happen with a structure tool. Like, yeah, well, I can just use this now. So I've got the edge set.
main bevel.
Yeah. I've got it's not. I've got in there, so I know what's going on.
Okay. Forge
gonna
went
do-
away.
Like, just going to shape this out basically. Just remaking the.
Ah.
So I'm doing it out of that metal. The other one worked, but it was just. You see how in places that's slightly got a rolled edge?
Yeah.
That other one rolled like almost immediately, really quite badly. It wasn't hard enough. It's fine.
Hi guys, Mickey and Jack. How goes it today? Dan is our blacksmith is working on a jaw replacement for his. I'll try and point it out with my massive finger. This thing here, which is his cutting tool. The jaw broke; it snapped, and so he's forming one out of a much harder piece of steel now. So I was just helping to put the initial mark into it, and now he's using his hot cut hardy in the angle there just to finish off.
Howdy, hon. Yeah, shear jaws are great. I just messed up and snapped one of my cutting dies in them, so I'm just making a new one. That steel I'm using there is from a leaf spring on a lorry, and it's pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's giving me a bit of a fight there. gonna cut through it and just get a rough shape going down. Most of my shaping will probably go on will be done on the grinder, to be honest with you, just to make sure it's within tolerance. But I can get the thickness and stuff down quite nicely like this, so that's the plan. Thank you very much. Thank you for following that. Average as hell. If that isn't a description of my life, I don't know what is. So yeah, I'm good today. Thank you very much. How's things there? How you doing? What you can see me doing there is just marking out some little thickness marks on the anvil, just so I know how wide the piece I've got needs to be. And then on the top near the hammer is sort of just a rough shape. Yeah, how is everyone in the chat? You all well? I hope so. And everyone's managing to survive the dreaded thing. That straight peen. Which one? This one here is £4.5, £5 ish. No, I didn't average as hell. Mostly for the fact that most of our blacksmithing colleges focus around art rather than toolsmithing, which is what I want to focus on. I didn't really want to get into that. Yeah, that hammer there, about well, it's somewhere between £4 and £5. That one there is 13.3. I know because I've weighed it. Nice. You see, well, I did a small stint as an apprentice for a farrier when I was a teenager. My family is horse mad to an extent, and that was that was enough to put me off being a farrier. The horses have always had a habit of standing on me anyway. The hammer over there to the right is 13 and a bit pounds. It's 6 and a bit kilos. It's my one for when I'm angry and want to really get stuff done. Nice. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing against people who want to do it as an art form and that sort, or even as farrieing, but just me personally, it wasn't my thing. I'm more interested in the other sides of traditional blacksmithing. Not that obviously farrieing is very much a part of traditional blacksmithing. Tool creation, hammers, that sort of thing, very much my jam. I'm working towards anvils. I'd very much like to make a a hand-crafted struck anvil. That would be a lot of fun. I've not been doing it for very long. As you'll probably tell with some of my technique, if you're trained well, you'll be able to see. I'm only about 2 years in, something like that. I actually started forge welding. Oh yeah, well that's the well I think that will probably do the first anvil I want to in the coal forge back there. I'm only going to do something sort of 20-30 kilos as sort of a token thing. But yes, I am going to need a darn big fire for that. Yeah. Make something like that, Peter. Right? Yeah, you're darn right I do. Yeah, the only reason I'm not firing the coke forge at the minute is just getting coke delivered has been a bit of a pain in the arse. So. Forge welding, weirdly enough, is actually one of my specialties. I took to it for some god knows reason. I don't know why. I was told it was really difficult to do, so pig-headedly I decided I was going to learn to do that first. And I made my way through several forge welded hammers and things like that after messing around with just some basic scarfing and things. I really enjoy it. There's something very, very good fun about the fire welding explosions and moltenness. It's just, I don't know, I can't explain it in words like that. It's just something I find very satisfying. I also want to move on to oh yes, I mean by no means am I perfect at it by any stretch of the imagination. I can blend a weld line between two pieces of steel, and get rid of the weld line so it's not visible. But I'm not at the level of these people who are hand hammering out multi-layer pattern welds and things like that. That's a whole other level of skill. These guys who are pattern welding. These little skulls in the pattern welds and stuff, and it's just insane. I'm nowhere near that sort of thing, but yeah, I just really enjoy the process and the appreciation it gives me for the way that things were built and what drove industry. As it came into the steam sort of powered Victorian era, where we stepped it all up to sort of big versions and automated and things like that. I really like that sort of older traditional smith just before that period. There, working on the majority of ironmongery and things like that. Tools, farm repair, that sort of thing, really. I do not have a power hammer, no. My power hammer is right there on that anvil. Yeah, so because I'm not welding on a power hammer or on a press, the problem with forge welding really is that to start the weld you actually need such a gentle strike, but with a large amount of pressure, which is why it lends itself to the hydraulic presses so well. They really force the metal together, without any drama. The forge welds I find really kind of light. But it's nothing you can't do with a couple of big bits of wood and a wooden mallet. It's just a much slower process. But a multi-layer pattern weld is something I really want to do when I've got the time shortly. I'm just sort of doing smaller projects at the minute as I'm doing a kind of bit of work on some titanium pieces for someone. So I haven't really got the time to dedicate to a big project like that yet. But a nice billet of multi-layer pattern weld, sort of like a pattern weld Damascus. I don't call it pure Damascus because Damascus is made in a crucible, not on an anvil. It's a shame. I mean, well, this gas forge here, I wouldn't bother trying to weld in at all. It will get to the temperatures, but I'm not interested in forging in that environment. For me, welding happens in the coke forge. I clean it with the clinker, I burn a mixture of coke and charcoal, and I get a really, really good burn in there. The way I test the burn when I'm forge welding, I actually put cardboard at the bottom of my fire when I've lit it, and I can tell after the fire if I had a good burn going or not, because the cardboard at the bottom won't have actually caught. It'll be charred, but it won't have actually caught burn because there isn't enough oxygen down there, which lets me know that my fire chemistry was correct for welding. Because that's the last thing you want is spare oxygen to be burning fuel when you're trying to weld. It's actually an old trick that Japanese smiths used for the crazy processes they had to go through for forge welding different steels together. It's worth looking at. It's a very good way of telling where your fire chemistry is happening. And if you've got too much oxygen in there, obviously forge welding's never going to happen for you. You get over-oxidation of every surface and it'll never stick together. A forge weld will only happen in that perfectly inert space, properly anyway. Obviously there's caveats to that, as you well know. Right, I'm going to just hit some things with a hammer. Give me a moment, chaps. Yeah, so we got that cut done quite nice and cleanly there. On a tooling subject, the hot cut I was using there was one of the first forge welding sort of successful projects I managed to do. That is a piece of drive shaft from a car. Don't know what car, don't know what drive shaft. I just stumbled the way through it. Just stuck to a piece of wrought iron basically. And it's served me well for 2 years and is still going strong and still continues to hold a relatively decent edge. I do kind of find, if I'm honest, like the majority of really good things tend to happen by accident to a degree, and then when I try and reproduce them, that's when they tend to go wrong, which I think is part of the not have been a smith for that long thing. You know, it's getting better, it's getting a lot better, but you know, the past, I'm quite lucky, I managed to do this mostly daily, so even though I've only been at this for 2 years, it's mostly been 2 years of a couple of hours at least a day. So I'm at least at the point where I'm confident with a hammer strike. You know, I don't have to think about that anymore. But you know, if I think about this sort of point a year ago, just concentrating on what a hammer was you know 50% of what I was doing. It's nice to be able to come to the anvil and just be like, right, I want to make this thing, let's do it, rather than having to think about everything so much. But yeah, I hate to think just how far, you know, if that's how far I've come a year, how far I've got to go, you know. Yeah, well, that's the fun in it. Like, I have a friend of mine who's been a bladesmith for 10 plus years, and he says a similar thing. He says doing it once is fine, but when you try and recreate it, that's really where your skill starts to come around. Like, you know, because that trying to make two things the same. I've done it a couple of times as projects. I did some axes that were supposed to be the same. It's so difficult. Yeah, everyone wants to make swords and knives, and don't get me wrong, I do make knives, and they are one of the more requested things people ask to be made. But it is kind of boring. You know, just blades, just weaponry is not something that necessarily interests me that much. Just for, you know, there's so many other facets to blacksmithing other than just sharp things. The mechanical stuff, tongs, for instance, are absolutely fascinating in the way that they made. Like, it confused the hell out of me trying to make my first set of tongs. The tongs, yeah, that mechanical, that simple mechanical thing that you have to get so many things so right to get tongs perfect is massive skill. I very much respect anyone who can bash out a good set of tongs. As you can see from my attempts around, mine aren't great. Yeah, that's it. The skill is exactly, yeah, that's it. Doing the thing you did on accident on purpose. That's not a bad description, I'll give you that. Yeah, that's my power hammer. A very satisfying thing to use. What you are kind of describing there, average as hell, is not bladesmithing. You're describing knife making, and I completely agree. Knife makers, they are not smiths. Bladesmithing as a craft is an incredibly difficult and fine art. Knife making, any basic chump can pretty much do. You get a relatively already good piece of steel, you do bugger all with it, but draw a template on it, and then grind the crap out of it on a good sander. Yep, I agree. Not blacksmithing, not in the slightest. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but it's just not a blacksmith's job in my eyes. I quite thankfully stay the hell away from those places. I don't really like what's been done to blacksmithing by the modern media, by certain people in YouTube communities as well, man. Like they've trashed what people understand about the finesse and the skills that come with this, and condensed it into 20-minute videos where people think you can make a hammer in a day, or make a hammer in fucking 4 hours or something, you know, or make a pattern welded billet of something in a day, you know. And it's this crazy notion that something has to be condensed into a video to be able to show its skill over, you know, that just one video thing, and it really annoys me. And the media with things like Forged in Fire, like, oh, that show, for as much, you know, as much as it has done for people to go, oh, blacksmithing's an interesting thing, like, in ways it's destroyed what people understand about knife making and things like that, or what people even understand things like Damascus to be. You know, people basically call anything that's pattern welded Damascus, and as an autistic blacksmith, that kind of annoys me, because it's just not the right nomenclature, and it doesn't annoy me for anything more than, really, I think it takes away from the skill of people who can pattern weld. When you get, oh man, don't, yeah, it's like, hopefully I'm never that broke I have to go on that show. Yeah, well, I mean, personally, I've forged a lot of hooks, handles, you know. They're one of my favourite things to forge, corkscrews. I do it all on the flat as well. Making curves from angles is one of my favourite things about blacksmithing like that. Until I did some sort of blacksmithing experiences with people, and I watched the way they swung a hammer. You know, I watched the way they used the tools, and it's kind of shocking that people don't even know how to do certain things. for them. I mean, you know, you could just see these people trying to hammer a nail into a wall and just imagine what's going wrong. You know, it's kind of crazy the way that people have been tricked into thinking you could just be a blacksmith. You know, just get a grinder and a gas forge and, you know, heat treat, and that's all that a lot of those knife makers do. And I think the thing that really probably tiddles me off the most is they all seem to make a really bloody good living at it. Like, and they're all revered to a large extent as well by people who don't know any better. Yeah, the cheapest punch I found for a hammer eye, I split it with a chisel first, and then I just whack a cheap carrot drift through. Yeah, I do actually. I really, really enjoy working as a group of smiths. It's really good fun. We have... excuse me. Oh, sorry, I just saw your message that someone had to be taught how to use a screwdriver. How did you... You know what, I'm not even going to go there. Yeah, I love the whole striker aspect. It's really good fun. When we have a group, we do a group smithing meet. Well, we were doing a group smithing meet once a month until this. And so when we do that, quite often we'll have 4 of us around an anvil. You know, 1 person leading and then 3 strikers. It's so good. And between times as well, Katie, my partner, she comes out and does some striking with me, or she'll hold something while I strike it, etc. Yeah, I really, really like that that aspect of working together on the forge. It requires an awful lot of unspoken communication past a point. You can really tell a lot about a person with the way they work on a forge sometimes. Yeah, if you want a cheap drift for drifting hammerers, I can't even speak apparently. Vaughan's, if you're in the UK, it's like $14.99 for the carrot drift I've got there. I've not found a point at which I didn't need it yet, you know, and you could probably make yourself one for cheaper if you're a blacksmith, but it comes perfectly round and machined, and like sometimes just meh. Yeah, it's a bit of a cheat. I made my first. But yeah, I severely would, if you're forging by hand, always suggest using a chisel first to split your eye for your piece, then punching it. You can sort a lot more out that way as well. At least I think that anyway. Yeah. Yeah, just anything like that, man. If you're out in the US, just just simple stuff that isn't necessarily made for it, but you can make it work. That's a really good aspect of, or a really undervalued aspect of, blacksmithing is, though you haven't got the tool, you can make tools work that you have got. You can edit them, you can do things to them. I mean, my tongs, I don't have a lot of tongs because I just tend to edit the tongs that I'm about to use. So if I need tongs for a specific job or a specific stock, I'll just kind of change the shape of the ends of them at the time,
average as hell, if he hasn't answered that one. Sorry, on the way back. Never mind. Are you answering this?
Oh yeah, I've been talking to him. Yeah, we're having a good chat.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we're nearly down to the thickness and the length of material I need there. So I'll cut that off again shortly. I'm just going to sort of draw a little more out, so I've got roughly the right shape, and then yeah, it's ready for the grinder. Ready for that knife making side of things there. Average as hell. Take it over to the grinder and just grind it into shape. Just because it's mostly the tolerances are so tight for this this shear. It's a bit of a pain in the arse to make pieces full without being a bit more neat about it like that. Yeah, you should definitely try making a hammer. If I can make one, anyone can. Like, I'll grab a couple and show you the sort of things I've done. So that was the very first tool I ever forge welded. It was just a hot cut, which I might put to use now actually. We got, and that was the very first hammer I ever did, which is just quite an ugly welded dog head, a couple of different steels at the end, but it's still one of my favourite hammers for lighter work. That's a more recent one. It's a small pound and a bit Smith's hammer, and then same with that. So again, they're all wrought iron centres, and then fire welded steel on the faces. And then there's the monstrosity of a welding hammer. Don't ask. Well, that is an interesting one for you, average as hell. I'm getting the wrought iron from Top & Co. They re-roll it from ship anchor. I also just go around and recover it randomly from scrap that I find. Interestingly, I used to work in IT, now I do this. Interesting one. Yeah, I did EPOS server support for people like Selfridges and Deutsche Börse, etc. Yeah, the hectic world of IT led me to the relaxation of blacksmithing. Hey? Well, have a good day, man. Enjoy. Thanks for joining the stream. Good to chat. Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, peace out, man. Take care. Yeah, IT used to be my jam. I mean, I kind of play around with computers these days for the fun of it. You know, yeah, used to install IBM P series gear, AIX, boring shit. I won't bore you with it. Let it cool off, and I'll grind it back, and then heat it up, quench it, temper it back for the dye we need for the piece. I've no idea what's going on with the stream. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not sure what's happening. You got to do something to pay them bills, man. I'm sorry for stream quality's tank. The internet around here just dies from time to time. Right guys, it's been a pretty short stream today, but thank you for joining, and thank you for chatting. It's been very nice to have a chinwag with some people. Whew. Oh, hi there. The knife I'm working on is still in progress. We're still working on that. It isn't finished yet, so if you've been keeping an eye out for that one, keep tuned in. We are still working on that. Today was just just concentrating on some of the some sort of tooling bits for the shear over there. But yeah, thank you for joining in today, guys. Thank you for chatting along. It's it's really great to have some people engaged and just chatting around here, and to be people getting along nicely as well, not just your usual internet malarkey. Hello there, thank you for joining the stream. You have joined just as I'm about to log off. Sorry. Yeah, we've shut the fire off for the day, and it's time for me to go and rest up a bit because I'm just knackered. So thanks for joining, guys. We'll be back on the Forge tomorrow, so if you tune in tomorrow, yeah, look forward to seeing you then. Everyone take care and peace out. Yeah, until next time. Thank you.